Like last class, we started discussing about capacity planning, and we mentioned what is capacity planning. We discussed the two types of capacity plan, either they are short term or long term. Okay, then we talked about what is the need of measurement of capacity, capacity planning decisions, factor affecting the determination of plant capacity, forms of capacity planning. We discussed about capacity requirement planning strategies, okay, optimal plant capacity, and then from today we'll talk about balancing the capacity. Okay, so basically, when it comes to capacity planning, it is basically means how we can manage our capacity effectively, and that is the key responsibility in production and operation management. And whenever we talk about the goal of capacity management, it is used to be to ensure that the production matches with the customer demand, because we did demand forecasting, and there we try to realize what would be the demand of the customer, what they're expecting. And then capacity planning is all about how will you make sure that whatever the demand the customer has expected, at least I'm not talking about the business what we bring, I'm talking about the production. And at the end of the day, we should be able to produce that much what the customer has demanded. And we are not talking about business, we are not talking about revenue, we are talking about purely production and operation. So capacity planning is all about how we can plan, okay, our production, and then how will we make sure that our production would be able to meet up the customer demand. So it basically answer three questions. What type of capacity is required? Okay, are you planning to do mass marketing or mass production? Okay, for that you will require different kind of setup, you'll require different forms of capital, you need to engage lot of labor, lot of machines together. Okay, then how much capacity is needed, means you are expecting to generate less production or more production, and when it is needed. Okay, so when we talk about capacity planning, here we need to think also about the future growth, the expansion, market trends, sales forecast, and thereby we can ultimately able to achieve the required capacity what we are actually planning for. So I hope you got the idea about capacity planning. Okay, if I talk about why capacity planning is important, okay, so talking about why capacity planning is important, because then only if we plan, then it will definitely affect our production scheduling. Okay, it create new capacity whenever we involve that require investment. Then we need to talk about how the financing of the investment need to be done, and it is the first step before we launch new product or increase the production. It influences the effectiveness in the operation. Then, when I talk about capacity planning, so capacity planning can be of two type. It can be long-term capacity planning, or it can be either short-term capacity planning. So long-term capacity planning, when we'll do in long term, we focuses. When we talk about long-term capacity planning, in long term we focuses on investment in new facilities or equipment, and in long term we are talking about a time period which may be beyond 2 years, or definitely more than a year, but it can be more than beyond 2 years. When we talk about short term, it focuses more on short term factors like workforce size, overtime, and inventory management. Okay, so basically, the w- if I ask you what is basically a capacity basically means the maximum output that the machine, plant, department, or worker can produce in a given time. So the maximum output what they can produce, that we called as capacity. And when we talk about what are the factors that affect your effective capacity, those factors can be your facilities, it can be your product, it can be your process, it can be your human factor, it can be operational factor, it can be external factors. Okay, if I talk about facilities is all about the production plant where you're gonna start your production. So facilities basically mean the design, the location, the layout, the working environment, that will come under facilities. When we talk about product, product basically means the end product what you're gonna sell in the market. So how is that end product? That will come under the product. When we talk about process, process basically is the process basically you are converting the raw material into finished good. So the process here basically we are talking about the ability to convert your raw material to finished good, where how much quantity and quality the production process can handle. That is basically we talk about process. When we talk about human factors, there we're talking about job design, motivation, training, experience, absenteeism, and employee turnover. When we talk about operational factor, there we're talking about the factors related to scheduling, material management, maintenance, quality control. When we talk about external factors, there it includes product standards, safety rules, labor union, pollution control laws, all that will come there. So when we are talking about capacity here, when I'm talking capacity, capacity of the plant is usually measured as the rate of output. Okay, like for example, how much is the unit produced per hour, day or week? That is what we called as capacity of the plant. Capacity of the plant means how much they can produce. That how much they can produce, we are talking in the term of some time period. The time period can be per hour basis, how much they can produce, or per day basis, or per week basis. And whenever the company makes different products, okay, so it is hard to measure the total capacity in unit. Okay, if mathematically if we are trying to calculate the total units, it would be little bit difficult. So in such cases, when it is hard to measure the capacity, in such cases capacity is measured in monetary term. Monetary term means total value of the goods what they have produced. So that way we can measure the capacity. Okay, so when it comes to the planning decisions for the capacity, it involves a lot of activities. What can be the activities? You can see the activities. Those activities can be the assessing the current capacity of the existing plant. So whatever the plant you have, you need to analyze it, that maybe you're looking to produce this much and how much you have. Then you need to forecast the long term capacity requirement. So do you think that every time you'll able to produce this much, or most probably with the time that production will increase? So if the production will increase, then you have to spend more money for the capital expenditure, and that can bring more production, and that can bring more revenue for the company. Then the other factor can be identifying and analyzing the possible source of additional capacity. So if we could able to identify that whatever way we can figure out the additional capacity, like if we need to have additional production, so what can be the mechanisms for that? We need more machines? Do we need more workforce? What can be the mechanism? What can be the sourcing of this additional capacity if we can do? And then how we can analyze those different capacity options based on financial factor, technological factor, economic factors. That is again the next step to be worked on. And then at the last, the planning decision involves choosing the best capacity options that can support the company's long term goal. Okay, so capacity planning is needed when the company needs to plan to increase their production, or to launch new product, or to expand their facilities. And after evaluating their current capacity, the decisions to be made about the new location or technologies if expansion is required. So when we go further and talk about the possible capacity situations, it can be either it can be excess capacity, either you end up in producing more, or you end up in producing less. Capacity shortage, where we are talking about if the company is not able to enough to meet the future demand. Then if I talk about the factors which affect the determination of the plant capacity, those factors can be, what can be the factor? The initial investment what you require. Then it can be your change in product design, because if you are going to increase, if you're planning to increase your production and for that you need more machines, more labor, you need bigger workforce or bigger working environment. Definitely for that you need capital, and then it will bring in change in your product design, your production process, market trends, product life cycle. And then you need to have a scope or room, so that if you want to increase the capacity in the future, that flexibility or that mechanism or that what you say fill in the blank you need to bring in your manufacturing setup, that anytime if you want to increase the production or you want to reduce the production, you need to have required flexibility so that you can increase or decrease your production. And if we can bring some form of automation or technology, then definitely the plant capacity would be nurtured in much more efficient way. Then talking about the demand for the product, risk of the product, okay, and then the type of technology what we are using, okay, the type of working or setup machines what we are using. So every time there's always a risk of using whatever we are using, machineries or mechanism or technology, they can become obsolete. Okay, so the objective can be to bring the automation. Okay, that level of automation if we can bring, definitely that will affect your plant capacity. Then we have discussed about different forms of capacity planning. Those were long-term capacity planning or they can be short-term capacity planning. So, what can be the difference? I think you are all are getting this. Long-term capacity planning, basically, we are talking about beyond 2 years, where we are talking about setting up new machines or plant. Short-term basically focuses on meeting current or near-term demand, which involve overtime, hiring or subcontracting. Okay, based on resources what we are using, either it can be finite capacity planning or it can be infinite capacity planning. So infinite capacity planning, we assume that there are no limit to the resources, and infinite capacity planning we consider that the limit of available resource such as labor and machines. Then when we are talking about the factors which affect the capacity planning, they can be controllable factor or they can be less controllable factor. So controllable factor includes the things the management can control, such as the number of workers, number of machines, shift, overtime, preventive maintenance, subcontracting, and production schedule. Are less controllable factor which we cannot control. That can be absenteeism, it can be poor labor performance, it can be machine breakdown, it can be strikes, it can be material shortage, natural disaster, accident. These are the factors which we cannot control. Okay, then we discussed about capacity requirement planning. Capacity requirement planning is basically the method which tells us how much equipment and labor are needed to meet the production goal. So this is important for exam purpose. They might ask you questions related to capacity requirement planning and what can be the two strategies, okay, under this. So the two strategies which are under the capacity requirement planning, those two strategies are the level capacity plan and the matching capacity with the demand plan. So when we are talking about when we are talking about capacity requirement planning, it is a method which tell us how much equipment and labor are required to meet the production goal, and it basically works with parameters like master production schedule and material requirement planning, okay, to ensure that the resources are available when needed. Okay, and here we are talking about two types of capacity planning. Those two types we are talking about the level capacity plan. So in the case of level capacity plan, we are talking about is environment where the production system runs on a steady uniform rate. Okay, the human inventory levels goes up and down depending upon the demand, and it is used to produce to stock system. Okay, the advantages of level capacity plan can be simple to manage and stable operation. Disadvantage can be higher inventory cost if production exceed the demand. And then when we talk about matching capacity with demand plan, if we are talking about this here, the production is adjusted to demand in each time period. It can be weekly, monthly, or quarterly. The advantages of this can be low inventory cost and fewer back orders. Disadvantages can be frequent hiring or firing, and overtime cost, idle time, and high material cost due to constant changes. Okay, so two strategies we have discussed here. One was the level capacity plan, which is basically based on produce to stock and sell approach. That you produce, okay, you produce, then you hold the inventory, and then you sell it, okay, at the uniform rate. And at the uniform rate you're producing and you're selling in the market, irrespective of how and what is happening in the market. Okay, next is a matching capacity with demand plan. Here the production is whatever production we are doing, it is matching with the demand what is happening in different time period. That can be weekly or monthly or quarterly. And so that this is what the we that means by matching capacity with the demand plan. The advantages of using matching capacity with demand plan is that it involves low inventory cost and fewer back orders. But the disadvantage is that every time you get the order, you need to again push up, and nothing is constant here. There would be lot of idle time, there would be lot of high material cost due to constant changes, and a frequent hiring or firing can be involved there. Okay, but in the case of level capacity plan, it is simple to manage and stable. Disadvantage can be higher inventory cost if production exceeded the demand. Okay, I hope you're understanding. Then we discussed about optimal plant capacity. And when we are talking about optimal plant capacity, here we are discussing the right level of capacity that can minimize the average cost per unit, and it is called as the best operating level. So when we are talking about optimal plant capacity, we are talking about the right level of capacity which can be produced so that your average cost per unit would be managed in appropriate manner. So in optimal plant capacity, here we are talking about the scenario like plant capacity has a great influence on the cost of production with the increasing volume of production, economy of scale which can arise, and that can result in the reduction in average cost per unit produced. So for a given production facility, there is an optimal volume or output per year that result the least average unit cost, and this level of output is called best operating level of the plant. Okay, so as the volume of the output increases uh, outward from zero in the particular production facility, average unit cost fall. These declining costs are because of the following factors. It can be fixed cost, which is spread over more units, plant construction cost, reduced cost of purchased material due to quantity discount for higher volume of material purchase, cost advantage in mass production process. Okay, so longer production runs. Okay, they have lesser setup cost per unit of product which is being produced, lesser scrap, etc., which result in saving, which will reduce the cost of production per unit. And this is what we call as economy of scale. Okay, so optimal plant capacity is basically based on the production, based on the concept of mass production, where you end up in producing lot of units. So whenever we end up in producing lot of units, then the average cost per unit would definitely would reduce. Okay, and as the production increases, the average cost per unit falls because of many reasons. It can be fixed cost, which is spreading over more unit. It can be lower construction and material purchase cost. It can be because of bulk discounts and proper efficiency. It can be based on reduced setup time and scrap. So this we called as economy of scale. And while production goes beyond a certain level, the cost per unit increases because of the issues like congestion of material, scheduling problem, damaged product, lower work morale, and overtime. And these problems are called diseconomies of scale. So every plant should aim for the production level that can give the lowest possible average cost per unit, and which we call as that the optimal plant capacity. Clear, everyone?
Yes, sir.
Can you summarize what all we have discussed so far? Anyone?
Sir, we saw what is capacity planning. Meaning of capacity, nothing but how much maximum amount of output we produce in a given time.
Hmm.
And then we learnt about
Hello? Hello, is I'm audible? Can you hear me?
yes, sir.
What happened? So capacity planning is all about how the company can plan their production and how they make sure that whatever the demand which is being set up, they could able to achieve the demand where it involves a lot of mechanisms. The mechanisms can be based on whatever the demand is coming, you produce that time, or the mechanism can be based on uh, just produce and all, and gradually with the time the demand would be sustained. So it depends what mechanism the company follow to manage the demand and all. Okay, we are talking about optimal plant capacity where you produce the right level of capacity that can manage, that can minimizes your average cost per unit, and that we call as optimal plant capacity. But achieving optimal plant capacity theoretically looks good, but practically it is little bit difficult, because as you know that the end product what you are selling in the market, the demand fluctuate very rapidly and all. Then we discussed about capacity requirement planning, which is about how much equipment and labor are needed to meet the production goal. Okay, whatever is your production goal, you would have a plan for master production schedule, material requirement planning, all that what is there in the mind. Okay, based on all that calculation, if you can figure out how much equipment and labor what is needed so that you can achieve your decided production goal, that we called as capacity requirement planning. Clear?
Yes, sir.
Mm. So we discussed about different forms of capacity planning. They can be long term, they can be short term. We discussed about the factors which affect the capacity planning. It can be controllable factor, it can be less controllable factor. We have discussed about the strategies which can be worked on capital requirement planning, that can be level capacity or matching capacity with demand. Okay, we have discussed about the what are the factors which can affect the determination of the plant capacity. We discuss about the decisions in the capacity planning. Okay, we discuss are the factors which affect your effective capacity. All these we have discussed, and these very theoretical. These all are very theoretical. Like just to go through them, and if you can just by heart the bullet points, some bullet points, if you can by heart, I think that would be more than enough for you. Okay. So can you just summarize what all we have discussed?
Yes, sir. First, we saw what is capacity planning meaning. Well, after realizing the demand, which is long run or medium run, then the next step is we plan how to achieve it. Where capacity is basically is maximum output a productive unit could produce within a within a stated time. There are two types of capacity planning. First one is long-term capacity planning and short-term capacity planning. Long-term capacity planning is where we take more than 2 years. Short-term capacity planning is within a shorter period where we consider factors like workforce size, overtime, budget, inventory, etc. Capacity is always expressed in terms of monetary values. The next thing we discussed was capacity planning decisions. In capacity planning decisions, the first one is assessing the capacity of existing facilities, where we know about the existing facilities. The next one is forecasting the long range features capacity needs. Well, after knowing what the existing facilities, we forecast, we plan or we estimate for the future. And the next one is after estimating for the future, we identify our analysis which we need for the future needs, and then we evaluate within the alternative sources of capacities. We choose, we evaluate the alternate opportunities we have, and then we select the best alternative among them, and then uh, we saw the factors affecting determination of plant capacity. Um, in that first one was capital investment required. In this we know which factors affect the plant capacity, determination of plant capacity. The first one is capital investment required, and the next one is the change in the product design or process design or market conditions, which all basically affects the capacity plan. And then flexibility of capacity additions, and the level of sir, I have a doubt in this.
What doubt?
Sir, what is level of automation desired?
Level of automation decide. 1 minute, I'll tell you. You just mentioned the other points.
Okay, sir. The next one is market demand for the product, where the demand for the product in the market mainly affects the capacity planning. And the next one is product obsolescence and technology obsolescence, which is obsolescence is the outdated, where the product or technology might be outdated, and the type of technology we selected. Sir, can I go for the next one, or you will explain what is automation desired?
You can start the next one. I'll just tell you the automation part.
Okay, sir. The next one is forms of capacity planning. In forms of capacity planning, there are basically of two types. First one is based on time horizon. In based on time horizon, there are long term and short term. Okay, based on time horizon, there are two types, long term and short term. Long term is where which takes more to cover. It takes more than 2 years, and the short term is we consider where we consider shorter, which we consider in shorter period, like factors like workforce size, overtime, budgets, inventory, etc. And the next one is based on amount of resources employed. In amount of resources employed, there are two types, finite and infinite. Finite is where we take resources how much according to our requirement. Infinite is where no limit on resources, which is practically not possible. And the next one are factors affecting capacity planning. First one is controllable, and the next one is less controllable. In controllable, we consider factors like machine, tooling, overtime, which are in control of our hands, that can be controllable. And the next one is less controllable, like strikes, natural calamities, some uncertainties, which are out of our control. And the next one is capacity requirement planning. Uh, Methods used to find how much equipment or labor are required. In this capacity requirement planning, there are two types of strategies. First one is level capacity plan, and the next one is matching capacity with the demand plan. In the level capacity plan, which is also called as product to stock and sell, which is operated in a uniform production level, where the finished goods inventories can rise or fall depending upon whether the production level exceeds the demand or not. And the next one is matching capacity with the demand plan. In this, we plan in this in this plan, the production capacity is matched with the demand in each period, whether monthly, weekly, or quarterly. Um, the advantages in this are the finished goods inventory would be low, would be less, uh, which results in the lesser inventory carrying cost. And the disadvantages in this are there are high labor and maintenance cost because we frequently change in the workforce. And the next one was optimum plant capacity. Um, Optimum plant capacity basically is the right level of capacity by which average unit cost can be reduced, which is also called as best operating level of the plant, where we the average cost of unit with the minimum average cost of units, we try to produce maximum level of output.
Very good. So basically, the level of automation, what you are mentioning, that means whenever we are running any production process, we are planning for capacity planning and all. So the level of automation, basically talking about how much part of your production you can automate. Means automate basically means you don't need human involvement. You cannot make complete process automated because because when we talk about production does not happen in one shot. It's not like you put raw material, you get the finished good. So in order to convert the raw material into finished good, it happens in different batches. It happens on different machines, and those machines need to be assembled in an appropriate manner. That imagine when the work A finished in machine A, then it can be transferred to machine B, and then it can be transferred to machine C, with the time period of their completion and all. You need the interference of humans, skilled force, which can make sure that the process to be continued from one end to the other end. Maybe you can bring a level of automation in that process where you the instead of human interference, if it can be done with the machine, where the once the output one is ready, it can be easily transferred to the place where output one can become the input two for the machine two, and then it can be once the output two get ready, then it can transfer to machine 3 where it can be used as an inventory. So that can level of automation can also be possible, but it again depends on the what you are manufacturing. It cannot be uniform for all kinds of production. It depends on what you are manufacturing and what level of manufacturing setup you have. Some kind of manufacturing setups are SME, small and medium enterprises, okay, where you are manufacturing some small component. Maybe the component what you are manufacturing is, suppose, some nuts you are manufacturing. Your plant is of manufacturing of nuts, okay, where it's very simple process of manufacturing, but might be that involve mass production where you're manufacturing too much nuts and all. Although the process is very simple, but you are more focusing on mass production because that nut can be used in any kind of setup. Any kind of setup we require nuts for fixing the things and all. So it depends on your end product, what you are gonna manufacture, and what level of demand that end product is having. It depends on how sophisticated the product you are manufacturing, and all. Some product definitely require the human interference, and if that product does not require human interference, if that level of technology is there which can automate the work, where you just need to start the process, you just press the button, the work will be done. That can also be achievable, okay, because with that, with the AI, with artificial intelligence, with the more automation in technology, with more technologies coming up, definitely the level of automation is possible. But again, it all varies. It is very subjective in nature. You cannot create some formula to figure out what percentage of the plant require automation and all. Purely based on the amount of investment you are putting into the business. It purely based on the end product what you are manufacturing, how much is the demand for the end product. It purely based on the required skilled knowledge or expertise what the labor or the worker or what the management is having in the production. And it depends on the kind of capital expenditure what you can bring into the business. It depends on the kind of skilled workforce you can bring into the business. So there are multiple factors, and those factors ultimately affect your automation percentage or the level of automation what you have to involve in the business. Getting it now?
Yes, sir. So basically, it is how much of machinery or technology we require will affect the determination of plant capacity.
Technology and machine to we definitely require. Automation basically means automation. You mean automation basically means what do you mean? Automation means no involvement of human. That is what we call as automation. Like imagine there's a machine which tells, okay, this much raw material is required. Pop up message came, 200 units of raw material required. Then there's a setup where your raw material is there, and automatically 200 unit it take from there, and then it will start the process where there's no human would see, okay, 200 unit require. Then the human go and bring 200 unit and put into the machine. Okay, then it's a human reacted, human involved. But automation means the machine itself is doing all the work, no less human interference and all. That we call the automation. And autopilot mode, like you have car which is being known driver required. It can do the, like you just put OTP, car will start, it will drop you wherever you want to drop. So that is automation, and without human interference. If you're doing the work, that we called as automation.
Okay, sir.
Okay, so we'll start then this topic called balancing the capacity. So basically, when we talk about factories which make multiple products, the workload on machines can vary, and due to different product mix changes. And when some machines work faster or slower than the other, it can create a bottlenecks. Okay, area. What do you mean a bottleneck? The area that limit the total output and increase the production cost. Bottlenecks means, suppose you, like I told you, the setup where multiple machines are there, and when multiple machines are there, every machines have their own workload. And imagine if some machine is slow, some machines are very fast, some machines are slow. And because of all that, because those machines which are slow, that will create a bottleneck. They will reduce the ability to limit your total output, and that way they'll increase your production cost. In order to fix this, companies use, what company can use, they can add more machines or equipment at the bottleneck point to balance the production. They can have subcontract, they can give freelance some worker to some outside vendors that work, so that can be done easily. Because imagine you have your machine which is creating a bottleneck. Instead of you doing and bringing more machines and all, you can do, but that require capital expenditure and all. Or you can outsource that part of work which is creating the bottleneck to someone else using the similar machine, so that they can produce and give to you, so that you don't have to depend on your own machine which is affecting your overall production. And then that way it adjusts your product mix, where product mix is all about producing one more than one product and less of another. Okay, the whatever the different proportion of different products you are manufacturing in the machine, that load what you can balance, that can be done there. So when we talk about the implication of the plant capacity, what can be the implication? There are two major cost implication of the plant capacity that can be affected, or that can be dependent in two major ways. It can be change in output or changing the plant size. So change in output, basically here we are talking about increasing or decreasing the output of the existing plant, which can changes your production cost. Then when we talk about changing plant size, so here we are talking about building a larger or smaller plant can also affect your cost. Okay, then we talk about the uh, factors which affect the effective capacity. Those factors are influenced by parameters like forecasting demand, plant and labor efficiency, subcontracting, multiple shift operations, then can be management policies. So when if I'm talking about uh, forecasting of demand, you know that demand forecasting is the first step, and if that can be accurately done, then the process remaining process of production can be managed. Okay, but forecasting of demand is very important, and the product with a longer life cycle, they have more or less a stable demand. But with the product with the short life products like mobiles and all, okay, their demand fluctuate very frequently, and then for them forecasting would not be easy. When we talk about plant and labor efficiency, here we are talking about scenario. You know that your plant and workers, might not work with 100% efficiency due to breakdowns, delays, or fatigue. Okay, so efficiency differs because machines and people, and so realistic performance level should be used when production planning is being done. Then when we talk about subcontracting basically means when we know that some kind of setups are creating bottlenecks and all, we give the outs work to some outside company so that that work will be done and our production does not get affected, and that way we can manage our cost also. Because if you start working the same on the existing setup, then we need to spend lot of money on on creating a new setup. And also subcontracting basically means when you give some work to some outsider companies so that they could able to meet your capacity need. That is what we call as subcontracting. So a cost comparison should decide whether it is convenient to give the work on subcontracting, or buying the same thing is more feasible. You have done these things in financial management and all. Okay, financial management, I believe you would have done numericals there. All these is being done, leasing, all that thing which we discussed on the term of numbers, on the term of finance. Okay, what is better option? Should I give my work on contract to some outsider, or should I get some kind of machines on lease and use it, or should I buy the new one? So which is the better option? So all that requires a good knowledge of finance, all that require a good knowledge of market, and then only that calculation can be achieved. Then the other factors can be multiple shift operations. Like instead of working or running the work in one shift and all, what we can do, we can run the work in multiple shifts, which can increase the production and improve the capacity. Then we can talk about management policies. Companies' policies on maintenance, scheduling, and working hour also affect on parameters like how efficiently the capacity is being used. Then we can talk about the factors which favors overcapacity and undercapacity. There, it is difficult to predict the demand accurately. You know that because there's always this issue with uncertainty. So actual demand may be higher or lower than what we have forecasted. Okay, so this uncertainty can lead to either overcapacity or overproduction, or undercapacity or less production. Okay, you are getting it right, everyone.
Yes, sir.
So, what all scenarios we talk about overcapacity, when we preferred overcapacity and when we prefer undercapacity. So overcapacity is preferred when the fixed cost of running extra capacity is not very high. Then we can prefer overcapacity. when work can't be given to outside vendors due to secrecy or quality concern, then overcapacity can be considered. Then the other factor can be when it takes long time to add new capacity, it is safer to have extra. Okay, then the other factors can be strict delivery deadline. So when missing deadline date would be losing customer or business, and at such time we prefer overcapacity. Then it can be when the plant must be of certain minimum size to operate economically, where we need to manufacture certain units. Okay, doesn't matter demand is there or not, but in order to make sure the machine is to run, if you stop the production, if you do not do appropriately, the machines get affected. So in order to make sure that the machine runs efficiently without realizing the parameter of demand and supply, then also certain minimum units we need to manufacture, and that's why we can say that when overcapacity is being preferred. Talking about undercapacity involve higher fixed cost, lower impact of shortage, fast changing technology. Okay, these can be the factors uh, which affect the your undercapacity. Undercapacity basically, when you know that when your fixed cost is very high, then you make sure that you produce and you think first and then produce, because higher fixed cost ultimately have burden on the setup of the firm. So you whenever we know that our manufacturing require a higher fixed cost, then we should not prefer producing more. Okay, it can be when we lost sales or shortage, and that won't affect the seriously the harm the company. Then we can think about under capacity. Imagine if I produce less, but even then if I produce less, it does not affect the mind of consumer, it does not affect the other parameters what require for the production and all. Then that time we can do under capacity. When we are talking about time when the technology is changing rapidly, which is very difficult nowadays to expect or to produce the required demand and all. Okay, so because of the fast changing technology, because of the higher setup cost and all, we need to plan our production with lot of more thinking and all. Then only it can be achieved. Clear, everyone?
Yes, sir. Sir, can you scroll back the solutions for that balancing the capacity problem?
Huh.
Okay, sir.
See the numerical here. In this numerical, they have mentioned about three products are there: X, Y, and Z. 1 minute. They are talking about three product X, Y, Z. Actual demand, annual demand, not actual demand. Annual matlab you understand na? Yearly basis. So here annual demand in units. Then standard processing time for 1 unit. Processing time in hours. 300, 400, 500, 300, 400, 500. Processing time in hour 4, 6, 3. Okay. So this is a total demand. This is a demand. And to produce one unit, you need 4 hour. Here you need for product Y, you need 6 hour. Product Z, you need 3 hour. Okay. So you can calculate the total processing time what is needed. And a total processing hour you can calculate. Total processing time in hours you can calculate. This would be 300 into 4. Correct. So for 1 unit of product X, you need a 4 hour. So for 300 unit, you need 1200 hour. Similarly, for product Y, you need 2400 hour. For product Z, you need 1500 hour. So the total hours you need for the production is 5100 hour. है ना? Total hour required for production. You're getting it right.
Yes, sir.
Total hour what you require for production is 2100. Now this department works on 8 hour shift. Every day they work 8 hour, and in an year you have 25 days. So you are considering 1 year means 250 days, and 1 day equals to 8 hours. Okay, so total available hours you have total available
23.
and total available hour in a year. How many hours you are working in a year? If you calculate, that is 250 into 8. है ना? That would be 2000 hour, correct?
Yes, sir.
So you are working in maximum you can work 2000 hours in a year, but you need to 5100 hours for the production. So if they're asking us like uh, determine the number of machine required, so how many machines you require, so that you, because see, one machine can work 2000 hour. You're getting it now. So and you need total 5100 hours. So how much machines require? Number of machines require, because you need this many hours, you need 5100 hours, but you have only 2000 hour. So one machine can only work for 2000 hour, but what you need is 5100 hour. So how much, so what is your, if you talk about machines, how much machines you require if you divide by 2000? So basically you need three machines, then only you could able to achieve this. So we need three machines, so that we can make sure that we can could able to manufacture the required product what we have, because to manufacture the required product we need to 5100 hours, but the total hours what is there in an year is only 2000. Clear?
Yes, sir.
See this illustration 6. You just write down these formulas and all. Efficiency of plant, the formula of utilization and all. You just try to do it. I'll just quickly bring water for myself.
Sir,
You understood this numerical?
yes, sir.
Simple. Then you see this seventh numerical. A firm has four work centers A, B, C, D in series, and like raw material is there. It is put on machine A. Machine A can produce 380 units. Then it goes to machine B, which can produce 360 units. Then it can go to machine C, which can produce 340 units. Then it can go to machine D, which can produce 400 units. And then the actual output what you are getting here is basically 300 unit. So the question is, first question is that identify the bottleneck center. So bottleneck, I mentioned, bottleneck refers to the stage in the production process where your work output is slower than the other stages, which can cause delay and limit your overall production capacity. So what is the bottleneck here? The bottleneck here is the workstation C, because workstation C is manufacturing the lowest output and all. Okay, so then the next question is that what is the system capacity? System capacity is the maximum what the system can produce as a whole. So for considering the system capacity, we'll consider the capacity of the bottleneck center. So the other way you can write it down somewhere in notebook that your system capacity is equal to the bottleneck capacity, because bottleneck capacity will reduce or that will decrease the efficiency of your system. So that's why system capacity is nothing but it is the capacity of your bottleneck. Then write down the formula system efficiency. System efficiency formula is actual output. What is actual output? 300 unit. The actual output is 300 unit. Actual output by system capacity. That is your that is a formula of system efficiency. Clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now the last question. Like here, this question is like a manager has to decide about the number of machines to be purchased. Okay. So number of machines what they can purchase, they can either purchase one machine, or they can purchase two machine, or they can purchase three machine. The data is given that if you purchase one machine, then what would be your annual fixed cost and what would be the range of output you can produce. If you purchase two machines, then what would be your annual fixed cost and what would be the level of output what you can produce. Then if you have three machines, it talks about your annual fixed cost, the range of output you can produce. Here it is mentioned that the variable cost per unit is 20 rupees per unit, revenue is 50 rupees per unit. Okay, so I think you should know this formula and all, this basic thing, formulas and all. You must be aware that is the your revenue is the sum of total fixed cost plus variable cost. I think you know this. Total fixed cost plus total variable cost. And when we talk about revenue, we can represent revenue as the number of units what you're manufacturing. Here they're using with the symbol Q. Number of unit what you're manufacturing, okay, into sales per unit. What is selling price per unit or sales per unit? That will that will give you the revenue. Fixed cost though is fixed, it won't change. Fixed cost Variable cost depends, or variable cost is your quantities what you are manufacturing into variable cost per unit. Variable cost per unit. This is your variable cost, total variable. This is the formula for that. Clear na? Here they have given you variable cost is 20 rupees per unit. Per unit variable cost they have given 20 rupees per unit, and the selling price is 50 rupees per unit. So if you here selling price is 50 rupees per unit, that is equal to your fixed cost plus your variable cost is 20 rupees per unit. So I can say 30Q is equal to your fixed cost. Correct? Correct?
Yes, sir.
So in option A one, if you use one machine, number of machines, if you're using one machine, then your fixed cost is 12,000. So your fixed cost is 12,000. So Q would be, what would be the Q? Q would be, it would be 12,000 divided by 30. So number of units what you can manufacture is 400 units. Is this clear?
Yes, sir.
है ना? So the number of units you can manufacture is 400 units. Okay, but if you see for one machine, the range output is 0 to 300. The capacity range you can produce, what you need 400 unit, but the maximum capacity with one machine, you can bring one machine, how much you can bring is only 300 units. But how much units you need 400 units. If you are using one machine, you need 400 units, but for one machine the maximum you can bring is 300 unit. So then it is not possible. Okay, so here if you ask me, uh like d- like what is the break even point, to break even point we have find out. Now for machine A, the break-even point is 400 unit, but it is not within the range of 0 to 300. So using one machine is not feasible. I hope you are getting it. Then if I talk about two machines, number of machines, that is equal to 2. Number machine, if that is equal to 2, so then what is your Q? Your Q is equal to what is the fixed cost if you use two machine? Your fixed cost is 15,000. 15,000 divide by 50, sorry, divide by 30. So how much you are manufacturing? You are manufacturing 300 units. If you're using two machines, so your break even is 500 units. Okay, your break even is 500 units here. Okay, but your capacity requirement is between 300 to 600. Okay, your capacity, if you are with two machines, with two machine, with two machines, and we can manufacture, we can manufacture 300 to 600 units. And with we can manufacture is 300 to 600 unit, but we can achieve break even, you understand na? We can achieve break even in 500 units. It means it means using two machine is feasible. Because if you're using one machine, then you are getting break even at 400 unit. that once you manufacture 400 unit, then only you will make money. That is called break even. Then break even means no profit, no loss. Beyond that is your profit. So if you're using 400 unit with one machine, beyond 400 unit, then only you can make money. But with one machine, you can only manufacture, you can max to max manufacture 300 units. So if with one machine, if max to max I can manufacture 300 unit, and my break even is 400 unit, means you doing that business does not make any sense. With two machine I can achieve break even at 500 unit, and two machines can produce maximum 600 units. So I can easily achieve my break even also, and beyond break even, if I use, I can earn a profit. Getting it?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And if we use three machine, if we use three machine, then what is your break even? Because they ask us three machine. So if we use three machines, if we use three machine, then your break even is what? Fif How much is the fixed cost? For three machine, it is
21,000.
21,000. 21,000 divided by 30. So that is 700 units. So if you're using three machines, your break even would be 700 unit. And again, with three machines also, you could able to achieve your break even and all. You could easily do the business. But the question is that if the projected demand, if your demand is between 600 to 650 unit, okay, how much machine you should engage? If your demand is between 600 to 650 unit, so for till 600 you can use two machines. Okay, so if you use, what we can do, for 600 we can use two units for two machines, and then for remaining 50 units and all, if we can use three machine setup. Like here you think like this: if we choose two machine, and if we choose two machine, how much we can produce? We can produce maximum 600 unit, right? If imagine, if I'm choosing, imagine, suppose the demand, suppose we don't know what would be the demand, we don't know, and it is expected, suppose demand expected is 600 to 650 units. Okay, so beyond 600 I should go with three machines. But if we choose three machines and all, then what would be the problem? Imagine if I choose three machine. Okay, then if I choose three machine, then I can I can manufacture the demand of 650 units if it come. Okay, I can easily manufacture 650 units of demand if it come. Correct na? I can easily manufacture 650 unit of demand if it come. Getting it right, everyone? So,
Yes, sir.
so here, your fixed cost is, what is your fixed cost for three machine? Fixed cost for three machine is 21,000. Fixed cost of three machine is 21,000, and your variable cost would be 650 into, how much is the variable cost per unit? Variable cost per unit is 20.
20.
So your total cost will become 21,000. 65 twos is 130. 130, then 20, 13,000. So your total cost will become how much? 44,000. This would be your total cost. If you're getting it, everyone, this would be your total cost. And what would be the revenue you can generate? Revenue would be 50 rupees per unit into 650. So how much revenue you can generate with 650 unit? 65 fives is what? 25, 325. Correct, na? Tell me the calculation. Any mistake is there?
Sir, it's 34,000 first one. 21,000 plus 13.
It's 34,000. Okay. Is this correct? Yeah. And what about this revenue? 650 into 50. 650 into 50.
32,500.
32500. Okay, so here you are getting a loss. Are you getting? Your revenue
Mm,
is lesser than your cost of production. Are you understanding? But if we use two machines, if we use two machines, if we use two machines, maximum production we can do is 600 unit. We cannot produce more than 600 unit. Correct, right? Then what would be your revenue in that case? Your revenue in that case would be 600 into 50. 600 into 50 would be 30,
30,000.
and then 30,000. And your total cost would be, what is the fixed cost? 15,000, no? 15,000.
Yes, sir.
15,000 plus variable cost would be 20 into 600. So that would be 15,000 plus 12,000. So this would be 27,000. So here you are getting a profit. Here you are getting a profit of 3,000, getting minus 27,000. So if you, so here we are getting 3,000 rupees profit, but if we choose three machine, then we are getting a loss. So logic here is that two machines is giving us a profit at 600 unit, and they are within the capacity. But if we use three machine, then we are still below the break even at 650, because with 650 unit we could not able, because if we are max to max, we can manufacture, if the demand is of 650 unit, but if you see for three machine, the break even is only 700 unit. So if you manufacture below 700 unit, you will get a loss. But if we demand is of 650 unit, if you are manufacturing 650 unit, we are getting a loss. So therefore, purchase two machines and plan the production of 600 units. And if it is critical to guarantee every sale up to 650, you cannot tolerate the lost sales. Reevaluate the options like outsourcing the extra unit. What we can do, uh, with two machines, we can manufacture 600 unit, and we can consider giving on contract, subcontracting the extra 50 units if the demand came, and that way doing business will make more sense for us. Clear? That is what is written here. You can read it, you'll understand.
Yes, sir.
ठीक है, we'll do this much today, we'll continue then tomorrow.